Now that you've been introduced to all the personalities you will meet inside the voting center, let us now move on to the procedures during the final testing and sealing of the VCM. What are the things that the Electoral Board and support staff should prepare for the conduct of the final testing and sealing of the vote counting machine? At least 3 days before the scheduled final testing and sealing, you and other EB members must set up the polling place in accordance with the guidelines set forth in the General Instructions for the 2022 national and local elections to ensure the implementation of health and safety protocols during the conduct of election activities. Remember also to observe the following protocols required to be implemented during the final testing and sealing. Unless the election officer provides an earlier period, the duly designated EB member shall retrieve the following forms, documents, and supplies from the election officer on the morning of the scheduled FTS. Election forms: 1 piece A9 TS manual election returns, 2 pieces minutes of the final testing and sealing of FTS, voting, counting, and transmission of votes. Once you've obtained the necessary documents and supplies from the EO, you will now proceed to the designated polling place to conduct the final testing and sealing of the vote counting machine. Preliminaries to FTS. Explain to those present the purpose and procedures of the FTS. Show the public that the VCM box is sealed. Remove the sealing sticker of the VCM box. Open the VCM box. Check if the contents of the VCM box are complete. If it is incomplete, inform the DESO technical staff immediately. Retrieve the VCM from its box. Show to the public that the VCM slots labeled A and B, where the main and backup SD cards are individually stored, are sealed. These slots shall remain sealed throughout the FTS procedure. Place the VCM properly on the top of the ballot box. Open the thermal paper printer cover and ensure that the roll of official thermal paper is properly installed. Close the thermal paper printer cover. Retrieve the battery cables inside the VCM box. Then, connect the cables to the battery and connect the other end of the battery cable to the VCM DC power port. Connect the power adapter to the AC power port of the VCM and plug to the other end of the adapter into the electrical outlet. Turn on the VCM to display the device information and the home screen. Perform the instructions on the VCM technical manual on how to initialize and authenticate the VCM up to open voting. After completing the procedures from the VCM technical manual until open voting, randomly select persons from among those present who will accomplish the 10 FTS ballots that will be used for FTS voting. If there are only a few persons present, any of them may accomplish more than 1 ballot to complete 10 test ballots. Remember, however, that only 2 persons are allowed to simultaneously accomplish the ballot. The chairperson will give each voter a marking pen. Once the voters are finished accomplishing the ballots, they will return the marking pen and accomplished ballots inside the ballot secrecy folder to the chairperson. The chairperson shall then examine the ballots to see if the ovals are properly shaded and if the security features such as the timing marks, barcodes, and QR codes are not damaged. Insert the accomplished ballot inside the ballot secrecy folder, then hand it back to the FTS voter who shall personally feed it to the VCM. The chairperson shall then instruct the voter to verify the votes as appearing on the VVPAT and place the same inside the envelope for counted ballots. The same procedures must be followed until all 10 FTS ballots are fed. After the 10 test ballots have been fed to the machine, follow the instructions for the closing of polls, the printing of election returns, re-zero, and shutting down of the VCM provided in the VCM technical manual. Remember, however, that the procedures on the transmission of results and right protecting the SD cards are not performed during FTS. Once the machine has been properly shut down and sealed, the next step is the manual verification of the results wherein you and other members of the EB will retrieve the FTS ballots from the ballot box, manually count the votes therein, and accomplish the manual election returns provided for the purpose. The following rules shall be observed in the manual counting of votes. The chairperson shall verify the ballots to determine whether there is overvoting. If there is an overvote in a position, no vote shall be counted in favor of any candidate for the said position. The chairperson shall take the ballots one by one and read the names of candidates voted for and the offices for which they were voted in the order in which they appear. The poll clerk shall record in the manual election returns the vote as the names are read for each office. Each vote shall be recorded by a vertical line, except every fifth vote, which shall be recorded by a diagonal line crossing the previous 4 vertical lines. Afterward, the poll clerk will determine the total number of votes per candidate. Members of the EB shall sign the certification portion of both the manually prepared ERs and the machine-generated ERs. If the results are not the same, you shall review the ballots for any errors. If there is still a discrepancy, you shall call the assigned desk of technical support staff for technical assistance. Remember, all acts or information required to be recorded during FTS should be entered in the minutes as soon as they occur or become available. Disposition of FTS forms and supplies. After conducting the manual verification of results, the final procedure to be performed is the disposition of forms and supplies used during the FTS. Make sure that the VCM is properly sealed and secured inside its box and leave it along with the ballot box and external battery inside the polling place or any secured room inside the voting center. Afterward, submit to the election officer the envelope for counted FTS. Diagnostic Report. Initialization Report. 8 copies of national and local returns. Manual ER. Counted ballots and vote receipt, and seal the same with a paper seal. After final testing and sealing, the VCM box shall be opened again only on May 9, 2022 for the conduct of the election day.